Continuing our coverage of the former president's indictment, let's break it down even more with criminal defense attorney A. Scott Bolden. Appreciate you sticking around this morning. You know, Mel was going through some of the things that we'll see outside the courthouse tomorrow, whether it's security or the procession that might occur as the former president goes to the courthouse. What's going to happen inside?
Well, he'll have to go through the arraignment process. He'll be fingerprinted, photographed. Normally, that's what happens. We've seen this story before. Right. He does kind of the walk, and then he's in the courtroom with his lawyers. He's before a magistrate judge. They'll waive the readings of the complaint or the indictment, but not his rights thereunder. He'll have to plead not guilty, or his lawyer will enter a plea of not guilty for him. There'll be bail limitations or bail requirements. I doubt they'll make him put up a financial bail, but his travel or his passport or any issues regarding even his communications about this case may be limited, despite the fact he's a presidential candidate.
Can the judge lay down any ground rules when it comes to that? Perhaps take any of their own leeway here when it comes to what the president can or cannot do in regards to moving forward?
Well, the judge can, and in this particular case, he's got unindicted co-conspirators. He's got, there can be a directive that he not speak to the witnesses or the co-conspirators in this case, but also, you know, his comments about the prosecutors, the judge, the case itself, there could be some limitations there because you don't want to taint the jury. You're going to ultimately be looking for a fair and impartial juror, so you could see some of that.
Yeah. We'll get to that jury question down the road for sure, because a lot of people are saying that's a challenge in itself in Washington to find those fair and impartial jurors. But talk about the co-conspirators in this case. Nobody else to this point has been charged, but the former president's inner circle here is under a lot of scrutiny. What conversations have they had, and what might be laying ahead for them?
Well, they've all got lawyers being paid by Donald Trump's fundraising apparatus, if you will. Two, they're talking to the government. They've talked to the government informally, like Rudy Giuliani. Some may be cooperating. Some may wind up being indicted, because when you cooperate or you're talking to the feds, you got to tell the truth. And so this investigation continues. Remember, the special prosecutor said that. So we want to watch these co-conspirators, whether they get indicted or not, whether they're cooperating or not. They will reveal themselves, or it will reveal themselves. The person, his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, is really interesting because it's not clear whether he's a co-conspirator or not. He's been really quiet under the radar, not saying a whole lot about this, and so many think that he may be cooperating, and this indictment doesn't disabuse us of that notion.
So when we talk about cooperating at this stage of things, and again, there's a lot of unknowns here, are you saying that these are people that potentially could testify against the former president?
Oh, absolutely. The co-conspirators definitely could, because they make the conspiracy. Two people agreeing to commit a crime and then taking affirmative acts to do that. That's what these 45 pages are about. So you probably couldn't prosecute this case without those co-conspirators testifying. Whether they get indicted or not is a whole other story. Whether they are cooperating and got a deal not to be prosecuted, that will have to be disclosed to the defense. And so there's a lot to watch there in that particular space.
We got last thing for you, Scott, and we'll revisit this many more times in the coming weeks. We've got a Florida case going on. You've got a Georgia case that is going on. Now you've got the D.C. cases going on. This particular one in D.C., this for a lot of people have said this is the one that will likely or could potentially garner the most media attention, right? Because these are the conspiracy charges. Where does this go time-wise? What do you see looking forward as far as the progression of this particular case?
Well, we'll find out on Thursday, because they will set a trial date or discovery dates and ultimately a trial date. There'll probably be a lot of documents that will have to be given to the defense and the defense giving to the prosecutor. But this case is easier to try and can be tried quicker. I don't think it's a big document case, even though there's a lot of information out there already. And there are only 4 counts, if you will. And so because of that, the other multiple count indictments, I could see this case being tried quicker. It's a nice, neat package. It's a speaking indictment, but it's a neat indictment, and you could try this case in a week or so. Just depends on the court's calendar and the availability of Trump's lawyers.
Right, when they get that case scheduled.
Because the government's ready. The government's always ready. Once they indict, they're always ready.
All right, we'll find out more tomorrow. Scott, always a pleasure. I appreciate it. Hey, Scott Bolden joining us now to break down some of the latest when it comes to the latest indictment of former President Trump. Holly?
Yeah, really appreciate the information. Thank you both.